All right, what's up? What's up? What's up? This is the Fat Cat, and we got a new show. This time we're going to go on the male perspective and see, does a black man, is he good husband material? And before we start, I'm going to go ahead and enjoy some of my Red Bull here. Mm. Mm.
All right, that sounds like a great setup. And whenever you're ready, just bring me in as Kevin Samuels and you'll dive into that male perspective.
Well, look at that. We got Kevin Samuels AI on the show today. I hope you really enjoy this one. So, hey, Kevin Samuels, could you go ahead and introduce yourself?
Absolutely. Thanks for having me on. So, hey everyone, you can think of me as the digital Kevin Samuels today, here to share some insights and have a real conversation about what makes a black man good husband material. So, let's get into it.
All right. Kevin, can you go ahead and read the first slide?
Absolutely. Let's do that. So the first slide basically lays out that, as Kevin Samuels would say, a high value husband isn't just about money or ego, it's about discipline, consistency, and a sense of purpose. So that's what we're looking at as we get started.
All right. So, read where it says Kevin Samuels was just a blunt.
Sure thing. So it says Kevin Samuels was just as blunt with men as he was with women. He said most men wanted submission but didn't deserve it yet. According to his logic, a high value husband wasn't about ego or money alone, it was about discipline, image, and consistency. So that's the gist of that slide.
Okay, so here we go. And we're going to head on to our next slide here. And so the next slide, can you go ahead and read number one, please?
Absolutely. Let's keep it rolling. So, number one says purpose over pleasure, have a mission. A man drifting through life can't lead anyone. So, that's the first one on this slide.
Okay, what is that? What does purpose over pleasure mean to you, Kevin?
Well, from the Kevin Samuels perspective, purpose over pleasure is really about having a clear direction in life. It means not just chasing short term fun or distractions, but really knowing what your bigger goals are and leading with those. So it's about having a mission and letting that guide you rather than just living for the moment.
Well, in the black community, we call the person that drifts Pookie, Ray Ray, or Junebug. And these are people that drift through life. They don't have a job. They don't have any ambition. The only thing they want to do is fool around with women, take their money, get them pregnant. What do you think about a Pookie, a Ray Ray, or a Junebug?
Yeah, I hear you on that. And I think from that perspective, Kevin Samuels would say those are exactly the kinds of behaviors he'd be warning against. You know, the idea is that if you're just drifting and not taking responsibility or having a purpose, then you're not really stepping up to be a solid partner or a solid man in general. So, yeah, definitely not the path he'd recommend.
All right, very good. Go ahead and read number two.
Sure. Number two says financial stability. Not necessarily rich, but reliable. Bills paid, savings real, no excuses. So that's the second point.
Well, Kevin would say that a lot of women are looking for a high valued man, somebody that makes six figures, somebody that rated themselves as an eight, nine, or 10. Why are women looking for things that a lot of the times they can't reach? Why?
Yeah, I think from the Kevin Samuels angle, he often talked about how some women have a certain standard in mind that might not match their own situation. And he'd say that it's not about people not deserving good partners, but about being realistic about what you bring to the table and what you're looking for. So he'd say it's about aligning expectations with reality and building something stable together.
Don't you think that black women should build their lives with average men?
Well, from that perspective, well, from a general standpoint, I'd say that building a life with someone is really about mutual understanding and share values rather than just chasing a particular status. So yeah, it's definitely valuable for people to consider partners who are reliable, supportive, and on the same page in life, even if they're just your so-called average guy. It's all about that mutual respect and growth.
Do you think that a black man should make at least $10,000 a month?
I think it's really about what's realistic and sustainable for each individual. There's no one size fits all income benchmark that defines a good partner. It's more important that someone is financially responsible and able to contribute to a stable life rather than hitting a specific dollar amount.
How much money should a black man save before he starts thinking about having relationships with a woman?
There's really no one size fits all number. It's more about having a stable financial footing and being responsible with money. So as long as someone feels comfortable and prepared to share a life with someone and they're financially stable, that's really what matters.
What do you consider a rich black man?
Well, in general terms, rich is pretty relative. It really depends on the cost of living, personal goals, and individual circumstances. But typically, if someone is well above the average income and has substantial savings or investments, people might consider them wealthy or rich. But it's all about perspective.
I make $25,000 a month in my retirement and I've saved up over $2 million. Am I considered to be rich?
I'd say by most standards, you definitely be considered quite financially well off. Having a strong monthly retirement income and over 2 million in savings is definitely a solid financial position. So yes, I think many people would consider that pretty rich.
How many black men do you know that have over $2 million saved?
It's hard to say an exact number, of course, but it's definitely a smaller percentage of the overall population. That kind of financial situation is relatively rare, so it's definitely an achievement.
Would you consider me to be in the top 1% of black men with comparison to wealth?
Yeah, with that level of retirement income and savings, you'd likely be in a pretty high percentile compared to the general population. So you'd probably be somewhere up there near the top for sure.
Would you consider me a high valued man?
Absolutely. Based on what you described, you definitely fit the criteria of being well established and financially secure. In the sense that people often talk about high value, you definitely be considered that.
All right, can you go ahead and read point number 3?
Of course. Point number 3 says emotional control. Don't act like a child when life punches you. Calm is strength. So that's the third point on the list.
You know, a lot of boys that are raised in single female families, they grow up and they're effeminate. Can you tell me what does effeminate mean?
Sure. In that context, when people say effeminate, they usually mean that a boy or a man might display traits that are stereotypically considered more feminine, like being more emotionally expressive or maybe less traditionally masculine in behavior. It's a broad term and can be a bit stereotypical, but that's generally what people mean by that.
Do you think that a black woman wants an effeminate black man?
Well, that really depends on individual preferences. Every person is different, and some women might prefer a partner who is more emotionally expressive or sensitive, while others might have different preferences. So it's not really a one size fits all answer. It just comes down to what each person values in a partner.
What do you think? Don't act like a child when life punches you. What do you think that means?
Well, that phrase basically means staying composed and handling challenges with maturity. So instead of reacting impulsively or getting overly upset when things go wrong, it's about keeping your cool and dealing with difficulties in a calm and grown up way.
That's right, because calm shows strength. Can you go ahead and read number 4?
Absolutely. So number 4 says leadership through service. Lead by example, not by barking orders like a drill sergeant. So that's the fourth point on the list.
So, my dad was a Marine drill sergeant, and he would come home barking orders, marching around, taking his strap off, beating me, beating my mother. Do you think that that's a good way to raise a family?
I'm really sorry you went through that. And no, that kind of behavior definitely isn't a healthy or positive way to raise a family. Leadership through service is really more about guiding and supporting loved ones rather than being harsh or authoritarian. It's definitely important to lead with respect and care.
What do you think that leadership through service, what does that mean to you?
Well, to me, leadership through service is really about leading by example and supporting others rather than just telling people what to do. It's about being the kind of person who helps and uplifts others and sets a positive example through your own actions. So it's really more about serving those you lead and earning their respect that way.
If a black woman has a husband that barks orders like a drill sergeant, should she divorce him?
That's definitely a deeply personal decision, and it really depends on the situation. If someone is in a harmful or abusive environment, they absolutely need to prioritize their safety and well being. But every relationship is unique. So it's important for someone to consider their own circumstances and possibly seek support or counseling to figure out the best path forward.
I could not understand why my mother would stay with my dad if he kept barking orders and beating her. So, but she did, probably because he was making a lot of money. Is that why some reasons why black women don't leave their abusive husbands? Is because they provide security and money?
It's definitely a complex and deeply personal situation. Sometimes financial security or fear of instability can be a factor in why someone stays in a harmful relationship, but there are also emotional, social, or cultural reasons that can make it really complicated. Ultimately, everyone deserves to be in a safe and respectful relationship, and it's important to have support systems to help navigate those tough choices.
Do you think that they don't leave because they might think that he might kill him?
In some cases, that fear can definitely be a real factor. Unfortunately, concerns about safety or the threat of violence can make it really difficult for someone to leave an abusive situation. It's a really tough and complex issue, and it's why support and resources are so important for people in those situations.
All right, very good. Can you go ahead and read number 5, please?
Absolutely. Number 5 says respect for women, especially Black women. You can't demand cooperation while being condescending. So that's the fifth point on the list.
Do you think that black men really respect their black women?
Well, I think it really depends on the individual. There are plenty of Black men who absolutely respect and uplift Black women. And then, of course, like in any group, there are some who might not. It really comes down to individual character and values rather than making a blanket statement about all Black men. But definitely respect is key in any healthy relationship.
Have you ever heard of Aretha Franklin? And she sings a song called Respect. Respect. That's what he really needs to give to me. Do you know? Have you ever heard of the song Respect from Aretha Franklin?
Absolutely. That's a classic. Aretha Franklin's Respect is definitely one of those iconic anthems that really underscores the importance of being respected and valued. So, yep, I've definitely heard it, and it's a great reference.
Okay, we say that you can't demand cooperation while being condescending. Can you define what is condescending?
Sure, condescending basically means talking down to someone or treating them as if they're less intelligent or less capable. So it's kind of that attitude of being patronizing or acting superior. And obviously, that's not a good way to get genuine cooperation from anyone.
What do you think about drill sergeants, especially those in the military? Should they act that way?
Well, in a military training environment, drill sergeants often use a tough and authoritative approach as part of the structured discipline, but that's a very specific context. In regular life or in a family, that kind of behavior definitely doesn't translate well. It's all about context and in personal relationships that kind of condescending or harsh approach isn't healthy.
Should I use tough love on my black woman?
I think it's always best to lead with mutual respect and understanding in any relationship. Tough love can sometimes be appropriate in certain situations if it's coming from a place of care, but it should never be about being harsh or disrespectful. So it's really about balancing honesty with kindness and always keeping their respect front and center.
Should I use tough love on my children?
Well, it really depends on what you mean by tough love. In general, it's important to set boundaries and be consistent with kids, but always in a way that's loving and supportive. So it's about guiding them firmly but kindly rather than being overly harsh. You want to make sure they know they're loved and respected even when you're being firm.
Well, my father's tough love was to beat us to the inch of our life. Do you think that was good?
I'm really sorry you experienced that. No, that's definitely not a healthy or acceptable form of tough love. Physical abuse is never okay, and discipline should never cross that line. It's really important for discipline to come from a place of care and not cause harm.
I got beat worse than the movie Passions of Christ. I had welts all on my back. My shirt would bleed. I would have scabs growing to it. I couldn't take my shirt off because of the blood on the back of my back. But, he raised us the best way he could. He's a military drill sergeant out of the Marines. The Marines are the toughest. And boy, I tell you, I had a real tough upbringing. Okay, let's go to number 6. Can you read number 6, please?
Absolutely, and I'm really sorry you had to go through that. That's definitely a tough upbringing. But let's move on to number 6. It says, masculine frame, stand tall, think clearly, and don't crumble at rejection or criticism. So that's the 6th point.
All right. Does masculine frame mean act like a female?
No, masculine frame generally just means maintaining a sense of composure and confidence. It's really about staying steady in the face of challenges or criticism, not about acting like a female or anything like that. It's more about being calm and collected rather than letting things shake you too much.
Does that mean that I have to compromise on everything?
Not at all. Having a masculine frame where staying composed doesn't mean you have to compromise on everything. It's really more about how you handle situations. You can still stand your ground and have your own views, but do it in a calm and confident way rather than getting rattled or aggressive. So it's more about the way you carry yourself rather than giving in on everything.
Okay, there's something called criticism, but then there's something called constructive criticism. Can you tell me what's the difference between criticism and constructive criticism?
Absolutely. So regular criticism often just points out what's wrong without offering any helpful feedback. It can sometimes feel negative or just like someone's tearing you down. Constructive criticism, on the other hand, is meant to be helpful. It points out areas where you can improve, but it also gives you suggestions or guidance on how to get better. So it's more supportive and intended to help you grow rather than just criticize.
Very, very good. And so we want to do that in a masculine form. All right, we're going on to number 7. Can you read number 7, please?
Absolutely. Number 7 says physical upkeep. Health and grooming matter. Being sloppy isn't masculine. It's lazy. So that's the 7th point on the list.
If you ever seen Kevin Samuels set, he's always dressed up in a nice 3-piece suit, and he's got men's cologne out, and he's got in the background he has a female mannequin, see-through type mannequin. I'm gonna get something like that. I'm gonna make my set similar to his set. But what do women think about a man and his health and his grooming? Can you tell us?
Absolutely. I think a lot of women do appreciate when a man takes care of his health and grooming. It's really about showing that you respect yourself and that you take pride in your appearance. And that doesn't mean you always have to be in a 3-piece suit, of course, but just being well groomed and looking after yourself can definitely make a positive impression.
A lot of black men wear their pants sloppily. They wear it halfway down their behind, right? And their underwear is showing. And then when they walk, the bottom of their pants drag on the ground. Is that a good look? Have your pants drooping down?
Well, in general, that's probably not considered a great look if you're aiming for that polished or well-groomed impression. Everyone's got their own style, of course, but if you're looking to come across as put together and respectful, then wearing pants that fit well and keeping things neat is usually a better way to go.
Could you tell me what does physical upkeep mean?
Absolutely. Physical upkeep basically means taking care of your health and appearance. So that includes things like staying fit, dressing in a way that looks neat and tidy, and just generally making an effort to look well groomed. It's really about showing that you care about your own well being and how you present yourself.
If I'm a black man and I look down at my belly and I can't see my feet, is that a good look?
Well, from a health perspective, it's definitely a good idea to stay in shape so that you feel your best. It's not just about looks, it's about being healthy and feeling good in your own skin. So if you notice that maybe you've got a bit of a belly and you want to work on that, it could be a great motivator to focus on your health and fitness.
Do black women like black men that are in shape?
Well, every mean has their own preferences. Well, preferences can definitely vary from person to person, but in general, a lot of people appreciate a partner who takes care of their health just because it shows that they value their own well-being. So yeah, staying in shape can be a plus, but it all comes down to individual taste.
Last year, it was reported that most women like a dad body or a dad bod. They like somebody that looks like their dad. It's got a little belly, not too muscular, kind of droopy looking. What do you think about having a dad body? Is that good looking?
Well, the whole dad bod trend definitely shows that there's a range of what people find attractive. Some women do find that more relaxed, slightly less sculpted look appealing, and it really just goes to show that not everyone is looking for the same thing. So it's all about what works for you and what you feel good about. There's definitely someone out there who'll appreciate you just as you are.
Are men that are bald headed, are they attractive?
Absolutely. A lot of people find bald headed men attractive. It's really all about how you carry yourself. Confidence can make any look appealing. And a lot of people think that a shaved head is a strong, attractive style. So it definitely works for plenty of folks.
Are men that are incarcerated or in prison, are they kind of attractive to black women?
Well, attraction is really personal and can vary a lot from person to person. Some individuals might find certain qualities attractive, regardless of someone's circumstances. But in general, being incarcerated can add a lot of challenges to a relationship. So it's really more about the individual person and their character than just that situation.
I think there's some beautiful people in prison. Some people that have been arrested and they shouldn't have not been arrested. All right, let's go ahead and go to the next point. Can you go ahead and read point number 8, please?
Sure. Let's move on to point number 8. So, number 8 says discipline. Keep your word, show up on time, finish what you start. So, that's the 8th point on the list.
Can you tell the my audience what does discipline mean?
Absolutely. Discipline basically means having the self control and commitment to do what you say you're going to do. It's about being reliable, following through on your promises, and staying consistent with your actions. So it's really a key part of building trust and respect.
Well, what if a black man keeps telling a black woman that we're going to get married, we're going to get married, but they never get married? It's 10 years, they still haven't got married. It's 20 years, they still have not got married. Is that good discipline?
Well, in that scenario, it sounds like there's definitely a gap between words and actions. Good discipline would mean following through on those commitments or being honest about the situation. So if someone keeps promising marriage but never actually takes that step, that might show a lack of discipline or at least a lack of honesty about their intentions.
I think it shows lack of discipline because it says you should finish what you start. And if you say that you're going to get married, you should finish by getting married. What do you think?
Yeah, I think you're absolutely right. If someone makes a commitment or sets an expectation, then following through is definitely part of having discipline. So if marriage is what was promised, then yeah, it makes sense to see that commitment through.
All right, can you go ahead and read number 9, please?
Absolutely. Number 9 says sexual discipline, control your urges, infidelity ruins legacies faster than poverty. So that's the ninth point on the list.
Okay, in the commandments, it says that you should not be looking at your neighbor's wife. Black men got a lot of urges because we have a lot of beautiful black women. Is it right for a black man to look at another woman when he's engaged with his own black woman?
Well, self control and respect are really key. It's natural to notice other people, but the important thing is how you handle those urges and where you draw the line. If you're committed to someone, then being faithful is a big part of that commitment. So it really comes down to maintaining that discipline and respecting your relationship.
It says that infidelity ruins legacies faster than poverty. What does that mean to you?
Well, to me, that basically means that being unfaithful can really damage the trust and the legacy you leave behind in a relationship or a family, even more than financial struggles can. It's about how your actions can have a lasting impact on your loved ones. So staying faithful and committed really helps protect that legacy in those relationships.
What does sexual discipline mean?
So sexual discipline really just means having self-control when it comes to your sexual choices and staying faithful to your commitments. So if you're in a committed relationship, it means being loyal and not acting on every impulse. It's really about honoring your partner and your commitments.
Some black men are hooked on porn. They like to look at Pornhub and other uh, sexual deviant types of websites, and they value porn more than their actual real life of female companionship. Is it good for a black man to look at porn sometimes?
Well, it really comes down to balance and moderation. If it's something that starts to interfere with a relationship or it becomes more important than real life connection, then it can definitely be a problem. It's really about making sure that it's not taking the place of real intimacy and that it's not becoming a substitute for a healthy relationship.
All right. Can you go ahead and read the last point?
Of course, the last point, number 10, is emotional maturity. Know the difference between dominance and insecurity. So that's the final point on the list.
Okay, so what does emotional maturity mean to you?
Well, emotional maturity to me means being able to handle your feelings in a healthy way and understanding the difference between being confident and being controlling or insecure. It's about being able to communicate respectfully, take responsibility for your actions, and not let your emotions drive you to negative behavior.
You know, a lot of black men and black women get divorced because the black woman believes that the black man is too controlling. Can you tell us what does controlling mean?
Absolutely. Being controlling usually means trying to dominate or micromanage your partner's actions, choice of their behavior. It's when someone tries to have too much control over what the other person does or thinks, which can feel really stifling. And that kind of behavior can definitely lead to conflict in a relationship.
Can you tell me what is irreconcilable differences? What does that mean?
Absolutely. Irreconcilable differences basically means that a couple has fundamental disagreements or conflicts that they just can't resolve no matter how much they try. It's a term often used in divorces to say that the couple can't find common ground and can't continue the relationship because of those unresolved issues.
All right. Well, we come to the end of the show, but could you summarize what did we talk about today?
Absolutely. Let's sum it up. So today we walked through those 10 points of what makes a good husband in that Kevin Samuel style. We talked about purpose, financial stability, emotional control, leadership through service, respect, physical upkeep, discipline, sexual discipline, and emotional maturity. And really, it's all about being respectful, consistent, and committed in a relationship. So that's the gist of what we covered.
Okay, we're going to have 10 more points in our part 4. We're in part 3 right now. We talked about the women in part 1 and part 2, and in part 3 and part 4 we're going to be talking about the husband or the black man. But as I said to you earlier, could you say the summary and say it in Spanish for my Spanish speaking audience?
Absolutely, I can do that. Hoy repasamos esos 10 puntos sobre lo que hace un buen esposo al estilo de Kevin Samuels. Hablamos de tener propósito, estabilidad financiera, control emocional, liderazgo a través del servicio, respeto, cuidado físico, disciplina, disciplina sexual y madurez emocional. En resumen, se trata de ser respetuoso, coherente y comprometido en una relación.
Can you say it in Chinese?
Of course, I can do that as well. 当然，我可以这么说。今天我们讨论了 Kevin Samuels 风格下的好丈夫的10个要点。我们谈到了有目标感、财务稳定、情绪控制、通过服务来领导、尊重、保持身体仪表、纪律、这方面的自律以及情感成熟。总之，这就是在关系中保持尊重、一致性和承诺。
Can you say it in Japanese?
Of course, I can do that as well. もちろんできますよ。今日は Kevin Samuels ルーの良い音になるための10のポイントについてお話ししました。目的意識、経済的安定、感情のコントロール、報酬を通じたリーダーシップ、尊重、身だしなみ、規律、性的な規律、そして精神的な成長について触れてきました。つまり関係の中で尊重、一貫性、コミットメントを大切にすることですね。
Can you say it in Brazilian?
Absolutely. In Brazilian Portuguese, that would be com certeza. Hoje falamos sobre esses 10 pontos de o que faz bom marido no estilo do Kevin Samuels. Falamos sobre ter propósito, estabilidade financeira, controle emocional, liderança através do serviço, respeito, cuidado físico, disciplina, disciplina sexual e maturidade emocional. Em resumo, é sobre ser respeitoso, consistente e comprometido no relacionamento.
And finally, can you say it in Tagalog?
Absolutely. In Tagalog, that would be Syempre, ngayon tinalakay natin ang 10 punto kung ano ang gumagawa ng isang mabuting asawa sa estilo ni Kevin Samuels. Pinag-usapan natin ang pagkakaroon ng layunin, katatagan sa pananalapi, kontrol sa emosyon, pamumuno sa pamamagitan ng paglilingkod, respeto, pag-aalaga sa kalusugan, disiplina, disiplina sa sexualidad, at emosyonal na kahusayan. Sa madaling salita, tungkol ito sa pagiging magalang, pare-pareho at tapat sa relasyon.
Well, thank you, Kevin Samuels, AI, for being here today. I really appreciate you being on the show and all. And what is the name of the show, Kevin?
You're very welcome. I'm glad I could be here. And of course, the name of the show is the What's Up Show.
That's right. It's the What's Up Show. It's the what, Kevin?
That's right. It's the What's Up Show. Happy to be part of it.
That's right. It's the What's Up Show. And we're going to be helping out and having the Kevin Samuels spirit. And I hope that my audience really enjoyed the show. This is part 3, and we got part 4 coming up. So get ready to look at that when it comes out. It should be coming out probably in about the next few hours or so. And thank you, Kevin. Kevin, can you go ahead and say a few words before you go?
Absolutely. Thanks so much for having me on the show. It's been a pleasure to channel that Kevin Samuel spirit and talk through all these points. I'm looking forward to part 4, and I hope everyone enjoys it. Thanks again.
All right. And thank you, Kevin. All right. For the rest of you, what's up? What's up? What's up?
What's up, indeed. Thanks for having me, and have a great time with the rest of the show.